Alright guys, welcome. Uh like every once a week, I'm gonna go over my week. Um, just kinda go over the market. Hold on, real quick. Let me change my battery in my headphones. Alright, I'm back. Alright, so we're starting to see more low floats. Um, you know, and that's kind of I guess a relief. Um, we've been seeing just kind of a mix of names going, like double digit names. Um, but now we're seeing some low floats. Uh, so for example, like ISIG, this kind of started the low float theme. Let's go to the daily here. So on the first day, this thing went from like six to, I mean 6 to 15, came back down, came right back up. And then after this, like when ISIG did this, um, we saw other names like what else? Not BFRI. STRN. We had inside bar plays. This is also kind of setting up STRN. This is actually setting up. See this, guys? So it goes up again, just kind of consolidates, and then it looks like tomorrow could break out. So if it opens around 550s and maybe even close to six, I mean this thing could go to 7, 8 bucks. So it's kind of curling back here, kind of consolidating right here, right up, right above this. Actually, let me change this indicator. STRN is another name. People has been hyping this up. They had an offering. They had an offering on this day, so it closed. I mean, closed at the lows right here, or open here, um, and then closed up here. So I mean, that's a huge recovery. Despite the offering, it just recovered right back up. So there's some strength in this. Um, so this is gonna be a watch. So we had this name going for us. What else? Actually, hold on. Let me pull up my. How was your guys' week so far? What did you guys trade? Let's see. And what are you guys watching for next week? ENSC. This was another one. Had a similar inside bar play. Had a big move on the first day. Um, kind of hung around here in the middle, and then gapped right back up. I was watching ENSC actually the day after this, after it closed. I was watching it for potential move or open at around in the mid threes and move up, but apparently people saw that already coming, so this gapped up. So people jumped ahead. And with these pennies, it all kind of boils down to like what criteria or what the trend is. What's moving. Um, for me, I've always been trading um names that first. Does it have a catalyst? Yes. Okay. Second, is it low float? Okay. That's great. So we got two checks. And third, does it have range? And if it does, that's a plus. That's another check right there. So it's got three checks. So you know, once a stock has all of those characteristics, you're bound to have you have the odds on your side. So now a stock may look perfect. I'm like, oh, it has everything. It has the great catalyst. You know, it looks like there's a lot of money coming in, a lot of volume. It has a lot of range, but it just doesn't work out. It happens. That's part of the game. You know, so no matter how good it looks, how perfect it is, there's always going to be that stock that just doesn't work. And don't let those losers dictate your next trades. It's just once if it doesn't go your way, forget it and just move on to the next. You know, look for the next play. Don't let that one loser, you know, kind of dictate your next trades. Don't make after once you make a bad trade, don't make another one. Just forget it and look forward to the next. So ISIG, for example, inside bar right, first big move, consolidates, kind of hangs around, pulls back in a halfway and comes right back up. ENSC, very similar, first day. And once you saw this day right here where it closed and hung around in the middle, for sure, this is another pattern similar to ISIG. It has that range, low float, okay, and I'm not sure about the news. I'm not sure. Yeah, this had $23 valuation, so news by Zacks Small Caps. So they had a valuation from of a $23, which is insane. Um, hundreds. I think there's 1,000% valuation. Um, but once you have that and you got volume, I mean, this thing's bound to go. So this was another great play. If you knew the pattern, you knew the trend, you would have saw this one. Unfortunately, I didn't play it, but I did see the pattern. I recognized the setup. I mean, what's another play? Just gonna see ABCT. This one, I don't know. This one, I guess, it's a little too cheap. Um, I guess it had something similar where it had this move right here, kind of hang around halfway right here, and then gapped up, or had a second day move. I mean, third day move right here. Um, I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Once you see a trend, like sometimes low floats, you won't see low floats run. Maybe you know maybe low floats are not running. Maybe mid floats are going. Um, you just gotta play where the money's at. Where the patterns are going. Working for. Um, so and by the way, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to type in the chat and I'll answer your questions. LGVN. So you're watching LGVN. LGVN, this one, yeah, LGVN is kind of had a large move right here, pulls back, consolidates, and is now kind of retracing back to the 20 SMA right here. So it's kind of getting back to those EMAs and looking potentially to reverse back to maybe 28 to $30. Um, so this thing has, I mean, let's see how much this thing pulled back. So yeah, she's pulled back at about around yeah, just roughly 60%. Um, yeah, 60%. Oh, crap. How many days is this? So yeah, about 20. So hold on, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Yeah, yeah 10, about 10 days, 15 days. So you might get slight reversal. It looks like there's has been some rejection right here. It tried to reverse back up, but kind of got rejected up here, close to $25 or 25. So now it's kind of channeling between 19, $25. Do you swing this market or just momentum now? You know, swinging swinging is one thing, is one strategy, and momentum is another. So if I see swinging more lucrative and that's the trend, I'll swing. If we seeing more momentum, I'll go towards that. Because right now, as of right now, I'm trading mostly momentum. All right. So I've some traders have been struggling. Even I myself has been struggling um, quite a bit in this market. Um, I don't know exactly why. It could be many things. Maybe my mind's focused on other things. Uh, for example, buying a house or trying to move out. Life stuff. Um, weather. COVID. A lot of stuff happened this year. Um, and things are still kind of the same. Um, so mentally, it could be very draining, and if you're not mentally strong, it could take a huge toll. So, as a trader, you have to be um, very mentally strong to definitely perform well and consistently. So, as of right now, for me, I haven't been at my top performance, compared to beginning of the year, and in the middle of the year. I was you know, my performance was compared to then and now is much different. So, I'm trying to refocus back up, you know, and once I have my new setup coming in, and I'm just ready to go, just rock and roll starting next year again. So, um, this, as in perspective, zooming out, I my profits from last year and this year, I've doubled. So, that's amazing. Despite, some of my months actually, some months this year I've literally made, I mean, literally not much. I would say, when all my good months, very good months, I had like near 300, 500 grand in a month, and some months, the other months, few months that I only had like 10 to 50 grand, a month. And those months I was, in the middle of moving out for the first time, getting to know myself more independently, try to take care of myself, and you know, uh, focusing on relationships, family, stuff like that. So I had a lot of stuff going on this year. So despite through all of that and COVID, um, I would say in perspective, it's an amazing year, and I continue to, look positively next year in 2022. So, yeah. But in the short term, right now, um, it hasn't been going, you know, I haven't seen the best, performance right now. So, going towards end of the year. So, Richie learning how to do your laundry for the first time. uh, yeah, yeah, doing laundry, washing dishes, cooking. Um, I have a wife now, so I don't really do the cooking, but um, you know, uh, you know, it's part of growing up. It's part of growing up. Life is not just about trading or just your career. You also gotta level up and growing up as a person, as an adult, and I think that's a great thing. I think that's one of the great things happened to me this year. I grew, I continue to grow a lot this year as a person. Um, so that's another great thing that has happened to me this year. And despite all the several months I have missed and missed out on, I'm still happy that I had you know other growth in other parts of my life, not just within my career. So I think that's very important. Um, but yeah, what else? Um, I mean, I don't have much to say or go over besides like ISIG, NSC. I mean, what else ran? UFOI. I mean, what is this? This energy name. All right. So yeah, I guess this was another kind of similar inside bar, except it had a huge gap up right here, and kind of hung around at the lows right here. So wasn't a picture perfect setup, but it had a decent setup, and not as good as ENSC or ISIG, but it had that look. It had that setup, but just not as good. I would say ENSC and ISIG was more around 70, not 70, maybe like 80%, great. EFOY, this one, I would say 40, 50, not really confident. So it looked decent, but not as strong. Um, what else? What are other low flow stocks? ACET. This one had kind of we had AHI or AHI right here, kind of curling up. CPIX. CPIX over here. This was another setup, very similar to ISIG and ENSC. Fortunately, this one did not go, despite it had the same, I mean, literally almost the same setup or inside bar setup as ISIG. I mean, if you guys look, has this nice big green day, pulls back, hangs around, midway, and then opens at around 6. And it should have, if it did the same thing as ISIG, this should have, went to 750 and $8. And ISIG on this day was actually going to new highs. It was going crazy. But CPIX just did not work out. And like back to what I was talking about earlier in the stream, where a stock would look very, I mean, the setup would look perfect, or near identical, but just won't work out. So CPIX is a great example of that, where it had a very similar setup to ISIG. They both ran on very similar days, but CPIX just couldn't follow through for some reason, despite how perfect the setup was similar, or how very similar the setup was uh, to ISIG. So stuff happens. Stocks won't always go the way it'll do whatever it wants. So yeah, this is a great example of that just not working. Excited to see ISIG Monday. I like the levels it held Friday. Yeah, ISIG, looks like she's due for like somewhat of a reversal or a move towards 28. If it does hold um, the SMA daily SMAs. Can you tell you three best setups in order to get into the trade? All right, so setups. Now I have my three. I trade. I have different types of strategies or setups I play. And one of them I spoke early in the stream is, first, I look, I have certain criterias before I play stock or I consider watching or playing a stock. So, first it has to have a catalyst. Second, low float. Low float meaning it can move. And what else? Range. It needs to have range. If it has a lot of range, if it has a lot of room to go, that's a big plus. And another plus is if it has volume, that's also a good plus. You can size in really quickly without really having to worry about slippage, depending how the stock acts. So that's one of my other strategies, and one of my best strategies, I would say. I stick to because it's pretty reliable, and I would say has a, I mean, good win ratio from my experience. What else? I have another one, sympathies. Um, for sympathies, I mean, technically CPIX and ISIG could, if you compare those two, CPIX could be considered sympathy to ISIG because they technically ran on the same day. I mean, CPIX ran on December 6th, so this day right here. ISIG, December 6th. Pulled back, okay, December 7th. CPIX, same exact thing. Pulled back, and well, you know, this day when ISIG ran on December 8th, okay, CPIX should have done something like this. At least should have went through previous multi-day highs. CPX didn't do that. So sympathy is a second, kind of a second strategy I play. So that's my second one. But sometimes it just sometimes just doesn't work out as it's not as reliable, but it does work, and could have huge rewards if you know what you're playing. And if you're in early, there's a huge reward over there. But there's some risk that it just might not work out. Um, what else? And also 1 hour breakouts. So if you look right here, so CPIX right here, you guys notice right here. So it kind of had this like, if you look in the 1 hour, kind of had this like descending triangle or pennant, somewhat of a pennant right here. Um, and I like to sometimes play 1 hour breakouts. So like if I see this triangle here, 1 hour breakout technically broke out or candle breakout. So right here, 1 hour, it closed at around, closed just under six, so $6. 1 hour breakout would be at $6, and over that, it has room to go to 640. The next 1 hour breakout right here, and then up to in the mid sevens. I was hoping for that on this day when ISIG ran, but we never had that, and people just gave up on this day. Just couldn't run. Despite ISIG just blowing off the top, CPIX just couldn't go. So 1 hour breakouts. That's also one of my third strategies. Don't use too often, but I do use them from time to time if I do see a nice 1 hour setup. You can still use this 1 hour setup, in any time frame, 1 minute, 5 minute, just depends. But it's the same concept, just different time frame. So I would say those are my top three. And I also go over this in writing in my website at ninjatrading.com. And if you go to my blog, there's a in a blog that I made of top three strategies or setups I've played that made me millions. So go check that out if you want to see it in writing. And all these strategies, you gotta adapt. These are just strategies that I kind of stick to in general. Um, but like I said, it depends on the trend. Sometimes one strategy might not work. You gotta change it up a little bit. So whatever the market's asking for, you gotta get to that. You gotta get to that zone of where the money's trading at. Sometimes sympathies are not working. Even though we had ISIG running, but CPIX tried to but couldn't go. Sympathies just if you took a loser on this, just sympathies just won't work. But you just keep trying again. Like I said, if you saw the same exact setup and took a loser on this, remember, this is just one trade. You got another one like ENSC. This is another one. 1 hour right here. Up, down, up. Kind of just consolidates and 1 hour right here. Breakout. 320. And look at this. So, um, this is another one, another opportunity. So if you lost on or got stopped out on CPIX, ENSC was another opportunity one. Just the same exact setup, and you could have um, capitalized on this. So you can always look forward to the next. Let's see. See. For followers who don't have an income where they can't just about pay scanners. Or platforms. Are there any 2S scans you recommend? Um. So for me, I most of currently I do use trade ideas, but I just started using it this year or well, I would say, well, I don't know how long, but less than a year definitely. I would say just around half a year, just trying it out. Most of my trading career, I never used any paid scanners or platform, nothing like that. I just relied on, to answer your question, I just used the top percent gainers, and that was it. I just looked at the top percent gainers, whatever closed at the end of the day strong. I studied that runner, the big runner. So for example, let me show you guys. So right here, this is my Trade Zero scanner or list. This is the default right here. So these are all the default. There's a most active scanner. So Trade Zero will give me all of the most active stocks in the market. I didn't make this. Trade Zero did. So it's all free. Except Trade Zero, the platform I use is paid, but TOS Thinkorswim has the same exact thing, just free. So they don't have most active. Well, I haven't used TOS in a while, but I do know that they have a top percent gainers scanner. I just use that, and I can still use that to this day, and I think it's the most helpful. And at the end of the day, at the end of the trading day, I just look at the top gainers right here. So for example, let's just say ISIG, closed 200%, and that's the top one, and I sort it up, from highest to lowest. So ISIG, I look at it and I just kind of study it and say, okay, well, around what price did it open, and where did it close? What's its float? And I just go off of that. So that's what I used, and and that has made that's what I've been using since my pretty much my entire trading career. So I don't have no custom scanner I made, or um or other people's scanners. I just use simply top percent gainers. That's it. Nothing too fancy, no pay, nothing. So that's what I recommend, and that's what I've been using um, nearly 99% of the time. My trade ideas, I don't know if it's really worth it. Um, I mean, I guess it helps, but I'm not sure, because whenever the only thing trade ideas can offer is it just yells out, just a ticker, a random ticker that might see new highs and volumes coming in. It'll just name those stocks, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's nothing really, um, very huge. There's no huge difference, really. I'm not like, oh my gosh, trade ideas is so amazing. I don't see that with I don't really see that. Um, so all right. As far as what stocks are still on watch, ENSC, this is another stock still on watch because I mean this thing does have room. I think this thing potentially could go to 10, and I think I think maybe even 14, $15 once she consolidates. So this one's gonna continue to be a watch, ENSC. And every night, you want to also go over like kind of how it, create a nightly watch list. What could potentially be setting up, and create support lines, resistance lines, such and such. ANSC right here is kind of very whippy right here, so just gotta be careful. Like we had this one day right here. If you guys look, 5 minute, like look at this, goes up and just dumps right back down. So just gotta be careful. And I tend to stay away from those. Same thing when this day goes up and dumps right back down. Where was another stock? Another stock I played was ACVT, I think, or AVCT. Yeah, so AVCT right here. I had bought AVCT here at I think in the low two, actually just under 220 or around 220 right here. I entered because I noticed that it flushed. I liked how it flushed, and it was kind of getting soaked over here in the low twos. Um, and also on the daily, it had range. It had range to go. It had room to go to three, which was my target. So I entered here and sold some up here. Rebought. Actually, I didn't not rebought the dip. I actually did not. I sold some up here, and that was pretty much it. I thought it was over here, but on the 5 minute, it was still holding up to 5 minutes. Just looked kind of weak. This 5 minute candle closed really weak, and I thought it was just gonna go back down to 220s, but it didn't. She squeezed. Actually, if you guys look at the 1 minute right here, um, it came right back down and just kind of came right back up. I think I played this right here too. I kind of bought right here because it went right back up, rebought here or somewhere here. I guess you could call it as a small chase, but with the strength, I was like, this thing had room to go to three. Um, and then another one, this thing broke out. When you guys see this like this barcode action or just kind of going up and down for a while, I mean this is not good because this is where where you should not play. You're gonna get chopped the heck out right here, and try to avoid these types of price action at all costs. Unless you love buying dips and scalping at back up here, that's probably a good thing if you want to do that. That's fine. But besides that, buying breakouts, you're gonna lose every time. So try to avoid this as much as possible. If you're breakout, if you're playing for breakouts, try to avoid that because this one, it really hurt a lot of people. Whoever bought this breakout, it broke out and just came right back down. And it looked weak and it squeezed right back up. So, um, yeah. What was your risk on this trade? So right here, I remember I entered right here. So I entered right here 220. My risk was so 220 is right here. I entered right here, and my risk was 211. So basically, if you're broke under 210, I'll stop out. So 10 cent risk with um 30 cent to up to I mean all the way up to three. So technically this was a 1 to I mean how many cents is that? 80 cents. So it was a maximum of 1 to 8. Um, but in the short term, look at the next resistance right here, which was high day, which was around 260s. That would be technically it's going to be a 1 to I think 1 to 5, something like that. So I was risking 10 cents basically just to make 40 cents. So 1 to 4. And if you count to 3, which is my price target, is risking 10 cents to make 80 cents per share. Because if you know how to read the level 2, it was literally getting soaked right here. Every time she dipped, it got bought up. Level 2 people would just, bidders would just continue to buying this up. Dipped again, level 2, people just soaking down here, soaking. It should have gone down by now, but it really broke out right here. And to me, I was like, this thing most likely probably just blow off top right here and just kind of break right above all these EMAs and go right back up and continue to go up and very strongly. So I love this flush, a lot of soaking, and that's where I bought. How did I get that profit level? So profit level. So like I said, 220, right? My entry was 220, 2020 cents right here. Okay, and my reward was up to 260, which was the next resistance, and all the way to a maximum of $3. So from 220 to 3 to a maximum of 3, there's an 80-cent difference, all right? And I was risking 10 cents. So my entry was 220 and my risk was at 210. So there's a 10-cent difference between 220 and 10 cent. I mean 210. So 10 cents difference. And my reward was up to $3. So 220 to 3 or 220 to 260, there's a 60 to 80 cent difference from 220 entry to all the way up to 260 to $3. So Um, so 80 cents. I just, divided by, 10. Um, or I just kind of just go simple numbers. So 10 cents being counting as one, and let's just say 80 cents, just eight. So 1 to 8. So my risk is, 1, and my reward is 8. I hope that answered your question. Market order only when selling? Uh, no, I try to do a mix. If there's a lot of liquidity, I will use market orders. I will use limit orders when there's not really much liquidity. So, and if I feel like I'll get slippage, I'll use limit orders just in case. So if the stock is very liquid, I'll use market. I also use limit orders too, just for the heck of it. But in general, I use market orders only in liquid stocks, and illiquid stocks, I'll use limit orders. Because sometimes when you play with size, you can't. If you use market orders and an illiquid stock, you're gonna get slippage, and probably just dump the stock um, in a liquid stock. And in a very liquid stock, no problem. AVCT was trading, I mean, close to, millions per share per minute most of the time. So at one point, trading almost 5 million shares in a single minute. So if you had a million shares, you literally could sell up here, no problem, no problem. Sell a couple 100,000, or 50,000, 25,000 lots. Just spam, market orders, no problem. If you're trading a stock that's only trading 100k shares per minute, and you have a million shares, it's going to be hard to scale out. You definitely can't scale out at once. You're going to have to scale out on bounces, and just got to be patient. Unless you just, I don't know, want to kind of ruin the stock, you can dump if you want, but it's generally you don't want to dump. You're just going to hurt yourself even more. Um, so, man, I'm really waiting for my new setup, man. My desk. I'm just waiting on my desk, my new desk. Um, all my I have all my setup, my gear going. Um, I need to buy a new mic so it's more clear. You guys can hear me more clear. So, and what else? Yeah, it's gonna be sick. I hope. Screens are bigger. I have one more extra screen. Technically, I can have five. Technically, it's 5 screens. Well, actually, no, it's 4 screens. But my current screens are only like I think 24 inches. And then my new ones are 27s. So I sell one screen more. I have 3 screens currently, but I have one more screen for my new setup, so 4. And then I have I'll just basically have more screen real estate. Um, and a much powerful computer, and yeah, I'll be able to stream much better instead of this kind of like wacky, wacky recording right here, you guys, like this square shape. It's just not really suitable for streaming and recording. So once I have my new screens, my new setup here, you guys will see more, and I can show you guys. It'll just look much better, more professional. But this is what I gotta stick with right now. um, appreciate Richie. Real One's Discord. Yeah, send me the link. Send me the link. I join, hang out. come check it out. See, hotkey keyboard. Uh, hotkey keyboard. What do you mean by hotkey keyboard? I do have hotkeys on my current keyboard. I just kind of um, how do you say? Like my F keys are my hotkeys. So from F1 to F12 are all hotkeys in my trading. I don't usually use them that much, but if I really want fast executions and really focusing, I'll use hotkeys. But I'm still getting used to hotkeys. So, all right, all right, yeah. Thanks, guys, for the link. I'm gonna check it out. All right, shortcut hotkeys, shortcut keys. Shortcut keys. What do you mean by shortcut keys? I'm still kind of confused. Actually, I think shortcut keys is actually even more confusing. What do you mean shortcuts to like what? Um, and do I short? Sometimes I short, sometimes I do. But technically, I love going long. But if I see an obvious short, if I see obvious weakness, yes, I will short. But yes, I do short. I'm starting to short little by little here and there. Um, but I love going long. All right, guys. Gonna end the stream here. Thank you guys for taking the time to listening into the stream. So and yeah, have a good weekend and see you guys next week. All right, guys. Thank you guys, and the recording will be on YouTube. So if you guys haven't watched it or want to watch it again. They're all there. All right, guys. Take care.